also the political activities they were engaged in. And so, I asked that question myself, being a newcomer, being educated by people like yourself and some of our past guests. I did this program and asked people to help me because I didn't know anything about this chapter of our history, which has been hidden from us. And I'm like, well, how come the NAACP I've never seen them say anything or lend a hand on any of the campaigns to get compassionate release for some of our elders, some of our comrades that, are dying in these dungeons. So, no, you are not mistaken, Brother Pete.
You are so correct in that, brother, and I'm going to tell you the truth. It shames me. It shames me, and it damn near brings tears to my eyes. When I think you take, for example, Ed Poindexter and Mundo. These are brothers that worked with me under the aegis of the Kansas City chapter of the Black Panther Party. I knew these young men as young, vibrant, strong young men. And now when I spoke with their attorney, I understand that Ed Poindexter is suffering from diabetes. Now picture this in your mind's eye, if you will. I have been gone for 43 years. Poindexter and Mundo have been locked down for 43 years. Please picture this. Get this in your mind. And you talk about a pardon for me? Listen to this. All the things I've done, all the babies I've made and reared and nurtured, and all of the experiences that my wife and I have been blessed to experience during that whole time, the Omaha 2, and all of the other comrades that you mentioned have been rotting. Please see this. You are rotting in a damn cage. And we're not saying a damn thing about it. Listen, I've seen, I'm just going to be very honest with you now, brother.
Please
I really am.
Please do.
I really am. I have seen people take to the streets as a result of their anger and their frustration because of this Zimmerman thing. Well, I don't give a damn about Zimmerman. They're right to protest wrong. They're right to say that this is wrong and it should not be. But can't they give the same emphasis and the same just sincerity to our brothers and sisters? Look at Herman. The brother is dying. There's no other way to put that.
Brother Herman Wallace.
Herman Wallace. You can try to be polite about it, but I don't feel the need to do that. The brother is dying, and he's dying in a damn, excuse my language, in a damn cage, and we're sitting up here protesting and talking bullshit. Why don't, brother, I shouldn't do this on your program, but I really feel this. We need to do something. We really do. We need to come together and do something about these brothers and sisters. And I mean that from my heart. Now, give me my profanity. I apologize.
Oh, we'll be able to edit it out, but I understand that no problem. I understand the passion, but we do try to keep it clean because some of the adults that listen to this program, they have listening parties for the youth, and so we try to. And
I do apologize, and I will not do that again.
Oh, no problem. But I want to bring it back to what you mentioned about Zimmerman, and then connect that. And the whole issue of police brutality and racial profiling, and bring it back to the work that people like yourself and our brothers and sisters that's on lockdown right now. One of the primary things, at least from what I have read, what I have studied, one of the primary reasons for the formation of the Black Panther Party for self-defense was to protect people in our community like Trayvon Martin. They were the protectors.
Exactly.
And they were persecuted not just for that, but for that reason, because they were addressing the issue of black people being murdered in their own communities.
And the police acting like they're acting now as an occupying force in the black community. In no sense doing what they claim to do to protect and serve. They do act like an occupying army in our communities.
You mentioned Ed Poindexter and Mondo Wielanga, and Mondo also is having some serious health issues. He's on an oxygen tank. I believe Sister Marpessa has told me that he has something known as OCD, some kind of, a respiratory problem from being in that terrible dungeon like you mentioned. These places have mold and all kind of stuff that can really take a toll on a person's health outside of the psychological damage that it is doing to them. But again, going back to your outrage and why there is no one forcefully speaking out for them. You even had a former attorney general, Ramsey Clark.
Ramsey Clark, yes, he did.
He's been calling for their release. Now, I understand like some organizations like Al Sharpton's National Action Network, the NAACP, so they kind of mainstream and they tend to stay away from what might be called controversial issue. But when you got a former attorney general telling you these men weren't doing anything but feeding children, and you don't even have the decency to advocate for their release, I mean, people need to wake up.
People do need to wake up, and they have to realize, what about the Black Caucus? Have you heard anything from the Black Caucus? Have you heard anything about these brothers and sisters? Have you heard anything about the doubling of the bounty on Assata Shakur? Have you heard anything about this woman being the first woman to ever be put, a 65-year-old woman who has been in exile in Cuba for the past 30-odd years, being put on the FBI's 10 most wanted list? Doesn't that say something to people over there? Doesn't that ring some kind of bell in their thinking, in their mindset, set to say something is not right here? People, I think, brother, I really believe so many of our people have bought into this myth of the post-racial era. There is no such thing. There is not. Racism is alive, and not only alive and well, it's thriving. You look at the contradictions with the Zimmerman case and with, what's this sister's name, Alexander?
Michelle Alexander.
No, that's not Michelle. Michelle is it? Michelle wrote
Jim Crow, Jim Crow.
The book. No, I'm talking about the woman that was given 20 years.
Oh, Marissa.
Warning shot. She's got 20 years in prison for standing her ground in Florida. To stand your ground. If you're threatened, if you're under serious threat, you are allowed to stand your ground. And all she did was fire a shot into a wall. And they gave that woman 20 years. Those contradictions are so glaring and so insulting. To me, it seems everyone who gives even a little bit of thought to this could say something is wrong and we need to take a stand against it. And that's what I'm calling for people to do. I implore you. I plead with you. Don't let our brothers and sisters die alone in a filthy dungeon. Don't do this. Don't do it, y'all. Please don't. Stand up. Let's take a position on this thing.
You mentioned the Black Political Caucus and if they had said anything, and to my knowledge, the only person who was a member of the Black Political Caucus was Cynthia McKinney, former Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney, and she tried her best to advance the issue of political prisoners and COINTEL exposing COINTELPRO. But as a result, the Democratic Party turned on her and withdrew their support for her.
And she is no longer a member of Congress.
Exactly. She recently ran for president under the Green Party ticket. So, we keep, the black masses here in America keep being, told that the Democrats are our friends and the Republicans are our enemies. And I'm trying to tell people we can't trust any of them because they're all they're both part of this evil institution or corporation called the United States of America, and how the Democratic Party turned on Cynthia McKinney when she's trying to advance issues not only related to our political prisoners, but also the mistreatment of the Palestinians and how quickly they turn on her. That should tell black people something.
I think it most certainly should. And you know, people get highly offended if you criticize Obama, so I'm not going there right now, but I'm going to say this. Don't you think it's appropriate for us to demand that Obama address issues that are relevant to us? Don't you think it's fair? Don't you think we have a right to demand that Obama speak out? Obama can do this. Speak out on the issue of political prisoners, to give some consideration to it, to say at least, well, let's review some of these things. That's the least that could be done. I think it could be, and I think we have a right to demand that. And so what I want to say to my brothers and sisters over there, please don't think ill of me for getting so impassioned about this. I'm 10,000 miles away. I've been out of the loop in America for 40-some-odd years. So much of what I'm speaking about, I may not know what I'm talking about. But I feel sincerely, and I know in my heart of hearts, that we do have an obligation to support those people that struggled for us. Man, when I think of it, it's just mind-boggling to have been in a cage for 40-some-odd years, and nobody, very few people, stand up and protest against it. We can do better, you all. We need to do better. We have to do better.
And you know, in the case of Brother Albert Woodfox and Herman Wallace, and you mentioned Brother Herman Wallace has liver cancer now. There is a campaign for his compassionate release. I think Amnesty International has a petition up asking for his compassionate release. And again, here is what is a predominantly white organization as far as I can tell, but I'm not hearing anything about a compassionate release, asking for it from the National Action Network, from the NAACP, from any of these black organizations that's supposed to be standing up for civil rights, supposed to be standing up for justice. And here you have federal courts who have ordered, we know Brother Robert King, who was a member of the Angola 3, so I guess we have to refer to Brother Albert and Brother Herman as the Angola 2 now, but the federal courts have ordered their release and showing how these men were railroaded by the Louisiana.
And they are ignoring that federal court order. They are ignoring it. Doesn't that speak volumes? Doesn't that tell people that what the hell is going on here?
Mm-hmm. It speaks volumes to me. And I think part of the problem, Brother Pete, is that we're not reaching, the masses with this information. Because I believe that if our young people and people my age, more people my age, if they were being given this information, which is one of the reasons we started this program 1 year ago, we do pretty good and our numbers look pretty good, but we don't have the reach that an MSNBC or NBC or ABC. Al Sharpton has a program on MSNBC and they're reaching millions of people. And so I think, those of us who are in the know, who do know about these brothers and sisters, that we got to step up our game. We got to step up our game, and we got to force. We got to force the issues of our political prisoners into the so-called mainstream.
Thank you so much, brother. You make me proud. I've been fearful that my access to information is limited, and I have to deal with what's available. I don't have any alternative. I don't look at CNN because I don't want to develop a CNN perspective of the world.
Right.
But by the same token, I'm fearful of developing a Facebook perspective of the world. I have to use these social media because it's the only thing I have. And for a moment, I said, oh boy, we're moving at a higher speed now, because I see some of the progressive people on Facebook talking about it. But then I'm beginning to realize this is just a very few of our people.
Right.
What in the hell of the majority of our people, what are they focusing on? I'm asking a question, Scotty. I want an answer to that.
Well,
what are they focusing on now?